All right, you're welcome back, and it's time for us to speak to our guest this afternoon. Like Olive mentioned, in celebration and still in the spirit of International Women's Month, we're going to be speaking to women who are working with some women who might not have the opportunities that we have to press for progress because of life situations. We have with us here Chioma DK from Genesis House and a human rights activist, as well as Adeshola Bello, who is the manager at Freedom Foundation, also working with different aspects of society, but today our focus is on women, particularly vulnerable women in society. It's our pleasure to make them feel very welcome here on the show. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Now, you work with vulnerable women, and by vulnerable, women who have been abused, women who have been victims of human trafficking, sexual violence, and it's such a laudable initiative. Last week, we had guests from Walk Against Rape, and they're talking about the fact that they're not a one-stop shop, but we have people like you who actually have shelters for abused women, you have counseling services, and you support them through the legal process where necessary. Could you tell us a little bit about the work that you do, please?
Well, Genesis House is under Freedom Foundation. Genesis House was founded in 2006. It started out as a shelter, but then it expanded where we house women and we teach them skills. We give them empowerment tools, and then we help to reintegrate them into society. So like you said, we do have a shelter, but we also have an extensive program. It's a 5-step program where we help the women get back on their feet and help them get back into society as viable citizens.
Brilliant.
Now, some people say that, I asked this question last week and I'll ask again, that we've had increased cases of violence and abuse against women. Some other people are of the opinion that we don't have increased cases, we just have increased reporting because we have social media availing us of this opportunity. Which side of the divide are you on?
I think that it's just more, people are becoming more vocal, and there's so many avenues for people to speak about the issues. So in the past, our experience has been that when we talk to people, you find that out of every 5 women you speak with, about 1 or 2 of them have been abused at some point or the other. But if you go back, yes, it is actually really staggering. If you go back in the 80s, 90s, it wasn't something people were comfortable talking about. And sometimes people just feel ashamed. They don't want to admit it. But this is why it's so important for women to speak up, because then you're encouraging the next person to say, you know what, I think I'm able to talk as well, and I'm able to, share my story and my journey through this process. So part of what we do at Genesis House is to, work with the women to make them feel comfortable. We work with counselors as well as psychologists that makes them comfortable to be able to share their stories. Because even in our experience, when the women come in, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to pursue the cases. If most of them, they're being abused by family members, which, it becomes very difficult for them to even share those stories.
That's really sad. And in recent times, I mean, we had the first case by the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team in Lagos very recently, and Lagos had a landmark precedent with regards to setting up a court that would expedite these cases. How does that help or impact on the work that Genesis House does?
Well, like Shola said, a lot of the women don't want to go through with the legal process because of a lot of reasons. And another reason why they don't want to report, like you asked, is because of intimidation, threats. Maybe some of them who have been human trafficked were given false information that, oh, if you report us at some point, something diabolical is going to happen to you. So they do things like they collect parts of their body, like maybe their hair or something, and they use that as a threat. But the women don't want to go forward with prosecution because of reasons like that. So what we do is we try to, once we get them, once we recruit them, we rehabilitate them, we reorient them. And then we can also teach them about, spiritual things, because we're also a part of a faith-based organization. Freedom Foundation is faith-based. So we try to give them spiritual development as well, try to debunk all of these, reasons and these facades that hinder them from reporting and speaking out. So from there, then we can also work with Lagos State to get them legal aid, and then they can go forward with the prosecuting process.
And I think it's fantastic news that recently we had the Benin monarch coming out to say that they're firmly in support of this, and it actually laid curses on people who were involved in trafficking. So it's more of a way of saying if you are being bound by the diabolical lies they're saying to you, then I would also use my power as a Benin monarch to veto your diabolical means, which is absolutely
Power meets
brilliant.
power.
Exactly. I'm so excited about that. And I'm hoping that we'd see a drastic reduction in the rates of trafficking. Now, when people hear this thing, it just sounds like big English. Give us an example of one of the cases that you think it's okay for you to share, you know, and one of the cases you've dealt with.
I think one of the cases that we've experienced at Genesis House was a young girl. I think she was about 12 or 13. Because the work we do is it requires us going out into communities, like poor communities that a lot of people wouldn't go to. So we go out and do outreaches with support of our sister organization called God Bless Nigeria. So we went out on one of those outreaches and we went to a brothel, and this young girl was outside washing her clothes, and we just started to talk to her about Genesis House, asking her questions about what she does, and she was able to tell us that our stepsister was sort of like her madame,
No
and
way.
yes, and they live in a brothel, and the stepsister makes her sleep with this man and collect the money, and she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Been waiting for someone to come and save me, but you guys are here. And we said, okay, we can work with you to see how we can get you to Genesis House. And she's like, no, I'm not going to, wait another day. I'm going to go with you today. I'm going to leave everything, because if I go back home, something might happen to me. So today I have to go back with you. I think she was about 12 years old. And we took her out that day.
12 years old?
Yes.
Being made to sleep with men?
Yes.
Do you know, all the while you're speaking, I had the image of a young lady, at least over 22.
No.
Wow.
Yes,
Please go on.
she was about 12, and so she left her house. She's actually one of the girls that was at Genesis House the longest, because she came in at such a young age. So we wanted to ensure that, she went back to school, and then a rehabilitation process was quite intensive. So she was with us for about 7 years. But thankfully, she's back in school. She's in college now. And, we're, hoping that, the future that she has will be bright and she wouldn't be plagued with that, story and trauma.
We keep hearing the stories of a stepsister, father, a mother, brother. We find that the abusers are mostly related by blood to these people that are being abused, the victims. What is it that makes it so easy for family members to become targets of abuse by their supposed loved ones, whom they should trust? And it keeps happening over and over again.
Well, I know that in the U.S. State Department report for human trafficking for Nigeria, a lot of the reasons why they said that women and children have been trafficked by family members are, one, poverty, lack of education, illiteracy. So a lot of them don't have opportunities. So they go and they traffic mainly because of money. And then, they have other reasons, maybe the community, they banished them, or they, gave them a stigma, then they want to get rid of the child. So many different reasons, but mainly I would say economic reasons. Nigeria is one spot that has one of the highest numbers of human trafficking. It's the top 10 nations that has the highest number. And so yeah, that's why we want to put the word out about Genesis House. We want as many people that want to get involved with our organization, help get women off the street, get women out of this cycle, and women and girls out of this cycle of human trafficking, and get them rehabilitated, reintegrated. We give them skills. We teach them how to, the computer literacy, adult literacy, as well as vocational skills, and get them into apprenticeships, get them internships, and we also help them get jobs and get back on their feet. So Genesis House is very...
Now you talk about having people join, people get involved, because at the end of the day, just before you came on with our previous guests, we were talking about the fact that every single human being has a capacity to impact a community, even if it's just one person.
Absolutely.
So you're talking about people getting involved. If people wanted to get involved, some people might not be able to do the work you're doing, that is directly interacting with these women, but they can do something indirectly by supporting you. How can people do you have opportunities for volunteering?
Absolutely.
Are you open to people coming to be a part of this? How can they do that?
Yes, we have opportunities for volunteers. Throughout the program, we do life skills training for the girls. So like, she mentioned adult literacy, we do entrepreneurship, financial literacy. So we're looking for people who will take on some of those training sessions and then come into the house and support us. And we find that it's really quite inspiring to have women who are accomplished come to the house and share their stories. And a lot of times even women who've been abused themselves will come and then tell their stories that I've been able to rise above this and, you know, look at what I've been able to achieve. So inspiring stories like that also typically help the girls. And we just launched a project on global giving worldwide, and it's just to support Genesis House to raise funds. So if people want to support us, they can go to Global Giving and search by our project ID, which is 32456. And
say that again.
Project ID is 32456, and so they can search globalgiving.org.
All right.
And they can be able to, you know, donate to us and support the work that we do.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us. We've been speaking with two inspiring women who are pushing, who are leading the war against abuse and are using their resources and everything that they have to ensure that through Freedom House, they bring freedom to young girls and young women who have been victims of abuse one way or the other. So please be a part of what they're doing. Join the project, support. Ayo and I would definitely love to be a part of what it is that you're doing in our own little way. And also in the same breath, still in the spirit of the International Women's Month, on Thursday, the 15th day of March, we'll be having the Walk Against Rape. So if you know you want to be a part of it, it's happening at Archbishop Vining Memorial Church, Ikeja, GRA, Lagos. It's happening at 8 a.m. People would converge and then they'll have a walk, and the aim of this walk is to create awareness about rape, to encourage victims to speak up, to prevent perpetrators from getting away. So we need to put our hands together to ensure that we stop the cycle of abuse in Nigeria, and we all need to speak up against it. We can't just cower in our little bedrooms and feel that, you know, it's not happening to me, it's happening to someone else. You don't know the day it could happen to someone close to you or even you. So we need to put our hands together and fight this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Adeshola.
We've had an amazing time here. We'll leave you today. We'll be back again same time tomorrow. Remember to follow us on all social media portals. Ayo at AyoMyroSA. Follow yours truly at Olive MOD. How can they follow your project online?
They can follow us on Instagram, Genesis House _FF.
All right.
Or Freedom Foundation _FDN.
All right, so Genesis House _FF or Freedom Foundation _FDN to find out information, how you can be a part of it, how you can be a volunteer as well. And if you want to be a part of Walk Against Rape, you can follow them on Instagram at Walk Against Rape. It's happening in 2 days' time. Get your shirts, get your jeans, get your sneakers. Let's pass across a very wonderful message in a fun way. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a fabulous Tuesday. Bye-bye.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.